Hello, foodies. The kids are back in school. It's September, and I've come up with a really fun quiz for everyone out there called the A Beef C's. I'm going to teach you all types of fun facts about Canada beef and see where your knowledge stacks up. Are you ready? Let's get started. Kareen, is there a difference between beef burgers and beef patties?
So I think probably people are familiar with terms like lean, extra lean. You can see those at the grocery store. Those are regulated by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, part of our government. But so are the words burger and patty. So I like to think of them. I remember them this way. Burger is like a blend. What the word burger means is that we are allowed to add things to it, like flavorings, extenders, like breadcrumbs, water, eggs. And then the flip side is the patty. And I kind of think of that as, I remember that as more pure. Patties can't have any of that added. All they're allowed to have added is salt and pepper. So burger being the more blended beef product, or actually any meat, because those terms actually apply to any grind. And then patty being the more pure product with only a seasoning added, like salt and pepper. That's the difference.
Back to you, Kareen. How much beef do Canadians eat per year?
A lot of people hypothesize about that, and we know that Canadians love beef. In fact, almost 90% of Canadians report eating beef at least once a week, so we know that Canadians love it. And that may lead us to believe that Canadians are eating a large amount of beef, and we maybe sometimes hear that in the headlines. But is that in fact true? Spoiler alert, it's actually not really true. We actually eat very moderate amounts of beef. According to national surveys, we eat about 5% of our calories from unprocessed red meats. So in other words, 95% of our calories are not from red meat. So it's actually a very moderate amount. If I might add, we do eat too many processed and refined foods, and that's about half our calories. So if you compare red meat to all the processed foods we're eating, it's 5 versus almost 50, which I think is food for thought. So in truth, we're not overeating red meat, and we probably could stand to reduce the ultra refined foods that we're eating too much of.
Michelle, we're coming to you for question 3. How do Canadians like to have their steak done?
Do receive quite a few comments about beef doneness, in particular when it comes to pictures of cooked beef. People love to share their opinions on beef doneness. So Canada Beef has done some research on this topic. We learned that consumers' preference for doneness was grouped medium. So 61% preferred medium rare to medium, with 33% preferring medium rare. But it really is a personal preference.
Gina, question 4 is for you. What percentage of cattle farms are family run in Canada?
Well, it's an interesting fact in Canada where 97% of all Canadian farms are family run. Now, of that, the highest proportion of farms are Canadian oilseed and grain farms and cattle and beef ranches. So we like to say that virtually all of Canada's beef farms are family owned and operated.
What is the most popular cut of beef sold in Canada? Nick, I'm coming to you for this one.
It's a great question. I guess we're looking for first a definition of a cut of meat. So if ground, a lot of people don't think of ground beef as a cut, but actually ground beef is the top selling item in the meat counter. I would say approximately over 40% of all the sales in the meat department are of ground beef. And of that, lean is just over 50% of the sales, and extra lean comes in at about 25%.
Joyce, this one's for you. How do we know that we're eating Canadian beef?
Know is to look for this logo on package or in advertising, because it tells you that the person selling that beef has sourced it from Canadian beef ranchers and farmers. And the other way to know is if you don't see a symbol, just ask them where are they getting their beef from? Is it from Canadian beef ranchers and farmers. Best way to know.
Tim, this is a big one. Are cows eating my lunch? From the amount of crops grown in Canada, what percentage goes towards feeding cattle?
Are quite unique in terms of their ability to use fiber or high forage feedstuffs, unlike humans. In Canada, anywhere about 8 to 15% of the feed or crops that are grown in Canada would be used as feed for cattle. That differs, like in a year like this, where we've had a lot of drought and a lot of the grains that are being produced in that won't meet the market for human consumption. Cattle can help out the crop producers a lot by utilizing that grain as feed.
Tim, I'm coming back to you. Is it cow burps or cow farts that are a source of methane?
Actually, the cow burps that are the source of methane, because the microbes that produce the methane reside in that first stomach that we call the reticular rumen, and that's where the methane is produced. So every time they burp, they release some of the methane. They'll also respire some of it through the lungs as well. So about 95% comes out the front in terms of the burps, and about 5% comes out the back. And I think it's important, like humans also can produce methane. About half of us produce methane, and we're kind of the opposite. About 5% comes out the front and 95% out the back. So it's the complete opposite to what is with cattle.
Doris, this one's for you. How many breeds of beef cattle are there in Canada?
As of the year 2020, Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada have recorded 27 purebred breeds of beef cattle for a total of 121,797 registered cattle.
Last but not least, Marty, I have a question for you. What is the highest grade of beef in Canada?
Canada's highest grade is our Canada Prime, and it is fantastic beef. It's very highly marbled, which means there are fine white flecks of fat amongst the meat tissue, and that melts during the cooking process and leaves behind a fantastic flavor and taste that really accentuates the whole beef experience.